everyone, welcome to Live Interactive English. I'm Nina.
And I'm Matt.
Yes, and today we're talking about part 2 of Cebu, the gateway to 1,000 journeys. And in part 1, we learned a little bit more about Cebu. We learned that it consists of over 170 little islands, and aside from being rich in history, beautiful nature, activities, it also has great food.
That's right. You know, I really liked some of the food I had when I was in Cebu, and I know there's one dish that a lot of people within the Philippines know Cebu for. I know it's famous for its lechon.
What's that?
So lechon is actually a Spanish word. So the word leche means milk.
Okay.
And so a lechon is a baby pig that has only drank milk. So it's quite young.
Oh,
and
okay.
well, they eat these baby pigs, but the pigs are roasted on a spit.
Okay.
Yeah, and they're very delicious in Cebu because they make the meat very nice and has a very crispy skin on the outside, and it's really delicious, and it's something you must try if you go to Cebu.
Ah, but baby pigs are so cute.
Sometimes cute can also be delicious.
Oh my god. Okay, so continuing, let's learn a little bit more about Cebu and what it has to offer.
For history lovers, a trip to Cebu would not be complete without a visit to Fort San Pedro. The building itself dates back several centuries to when the Philippines was controlled by Spain. Originally, it was used to fight off attacks by pirates, but today it is a museum that preserves important Spanish records, sculptures, and paintings.
Hey everyone, welcome back to part 2 of Cebu, the gateway to 1,000 journeys.
Okay, let's learn some more about these journeys. For history lovers, a trip to Cebu would not be complete without a visit to Fort San Pedro. The building itself dates back several centuries to when the Philippines was controlled by Spain.
Oh, right. Okay.
So I've actually been to Fort San Pedro.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
How was
you can
it?
walk around the walls on the outside, and it's a cool, very old fort.
Okay.
So.
All right. Originally, it was used to fight off attacks by pirates. But today, it is a museum that preserves important Spanish records, sculptures, and paintings. So it was used to fight off pirates. So what are pirates?
Pirates are like thieves that usually travel by sea. So they're traveling from one place to another on a ship, and maybe attacking or stealing things from other ships or from seaside towns like as Cebu I'm sure was at the time when pirates were coming.
Okay.
So this museum was used to fight off pirates, but is now used to preserve some important things from the culture. So to preserve is to keep something in its original state. So to keep it from changing, to try to maintain it. So we talk about like preserving fruit.
Yes.
When you preserve fruit, you will do something like adding a lot of sugar to it, or maybe drying all the moisture out of it so that it does not go bad, so that it doesn't spoil. So for example, sometimes bodies are frozen in ice and preserved for thousands of years.
Also with mummies, right? They're also preserved bodies.
That's right. So there's other ways to preserve bodies using some chemicals and things like that.
Okay, and they have sculptures. And sculpture is artistic work created by shaping or carving materials such as wood, stone, or metal. For example, we saw lots of unusual sculptures as we walked around the park. Okay.
It's like an interesting park with lots of sculptures. So yeah, this Fort San Pedro, I remember walking on the outside. I don't think I spent a lot of time actually looking at the museum.
Yeah.
Just don't much like going to museums when I'm traveling.
Oh, I see. You want to do the exciting activities, right?
Zip lining.
All right. So actually, it's quite interesting because they were controlled by Spain, right? And I have some Spanish-speaking friends who went to the Philippines, and they did mention that it's really interesting to hear the Filipino language and how there are so many words that they understood in Spanish.
Oh, right. So they have many what are called loan words. So words that are borrowed from a different language in their own language. So they have many Spanish loan words.
Okay. That's really cool.
So we've learned some interesting things about Cebu, but we're going to learn some more still when we come back after the break.
Hello， 大家好，我是 Hanny。我们在第一天的课程提到，宿雾有着丰富的历史。那对于喜爱历史的人而言，没有参观圣佩德罗堡，宿雾之旅就不算完整了。这个建筑它本身的历史可以追溯到菲律宾被西班牙统治的几个世纪前。那最初是用来抵御海盗攻击，如今它是一座博物馆，里面有保存着重要的西班牙档案记录啊、雕塑还有绘画。单字 preserve 表示保存或是维护，是个动词。那么 sculpture 它表示雕塑品或是雕刻艺术。补充一下 Matt 老师刚刚用到 a history buff 来指历史爱好者。那这个 buff B-U-F-F 它是指迷或者是爱好者。老师们刚刚也有聊到菲律宾语当中有不少来自西班牙语的这个外来语。那老师说的 loan word 就是指这个外来语介词借用语。好，那这边两个重点，我们进入文法时间。好，我们来看第一个重点是主词 would not be complete without 名词或动名词，是表达没有什么什么就不算完整，一定要有什么什么才行。那这是双重否定的句型，用两个否定词not 和 without 来表达出肯定意思，也可以写作 no 什么什么 would be complete without 名词或动名词。举例来说 A trip would not be complete without tasting the local food. 也可以说 No trip would be complete without tasting the local food. 旅行一定要品尝当地美食才行。好，那延伸学习是 There are few better ways than 则可以表达没有什么比什么什么更好的方法了。那这个句型是利用否定 few 去搭配比较级 better 来强调出最高级的语义。例如There are few better ways to start your day than with a delicious breakfast. 没有什么比吃一顿美味早餐来展开新的一天更好的方式了。也就是说啊，展开新的一天最好方式就是吃一顿美味早餐。好，那第二重点是 date back， 它表示追溯到什么什么，开始始于什么，或是创建于什么什么。那用法是 date back。加一段时间，或是 date back to 加上某个时期或年代。例如 This tradition dates back 700 years. 这个传统可以追溯到700年前。或是 This tradition dates back to the 14th century. 这个传统可以追溯到14世纪。好，那我们直接回到课文中。
Similarly interesting is the Magellan's Cross Pavilion, which commemorates the arrival of Christianity to Cebu in 1521. This site was declared a national cultural treasure in 2021 and is one of the most important religious locations in the Philippines. Historic buildings aside, there are few better ways to experience the local culture than diving into Cebu's famous cuisine. For the best barbecue you'll ever taste, head to Cebu City and the late-closing food court Sugbo Centro. Here, you'll find stands offering all sorts of delicious meats ready to cook and eat. A must-try is the chorizo de Cebu, a sweet pork sausage made with lots of local spices. So, what are you waiting for? Pack your bags, head to Cebu, and start on a memorable journey filled with history, barbecue, beaches, and adventure.
Welcome back. So we have just been talking about how you can visit the Fort of San Pedro in Cebu, and it's one of the places for people interested in history because it has a museum which preserves many cultural artifacts.
Which isn't you, right? You're not interested in history.
That interested.
Okay.
But if you are, similarly interesting is the Magellan's Cross Pavilion, which commemorates the arrival of Christianity to Cebu in 1521.
Okay.
So it commemorates that event. And so to commemorate is to remember or show respect for something that has happened.
Yeah, and actually I realize a lot of people that I know from the Philippines are actually Christian too.
Yes, I think it's the most common religion in Philippines for sure.
So continuing, this site was declared a national cultural treasure in 2021 and is one of the most important religious locations in the Philippines. Okay, so this site is a noun and it's a specific location or place, often referring to where something is situated or where an event occurs. So for example, the battle that took place on this site changed the course of history forever.
So I know that this site, the Magellan's Cross site, is a very popular site for Filipino people to travel to because it's a very important place for their country's history. Okay, so we mentioned another word in there, which was to declare. And to declare is to state or to do something in a formal way. So do something formally, not just to say something, but to do it with an official document or, for something to happen when a government does something. They declare something, they don't just say something. So for example, the mayor declared a state of emergency due to the typhoon.
Okay, we get that in Taiwan sometimes, right?
We get typhoons, I think, and we also get typhoon days, so we could also declare it a typhoon day or no work day.
Exactly. All right, so religious is an adjective and it's relating to or connected with faith, belief, or worship in a higher power. For example, the religious man went to church every Sunday. Okay,
so continuing on. Historic buildings aside, there are few better ways to experience the local culture than diving into Cebu's famous cuisine.
Ooh.
So we talk about a place's cuisine. We're talking about the food and drinks, the things that you can eat and drink somewhere. And I know that it's something I really love to experience every time I travel, is to try the local cuisine.
Okay, let's see for the Philippines. For the best barbecue you'll ever taste, head to Cebu City and the late closing food court, Sugbo Centro. Here, you'll find stands offering all sorts of delicious meats ready to cook and eat. Ooh, I love a good barbecue.
Yeah, well, it sounds like they've got some great barbecue here. And
yes.
So a must try is the chorizo de Cebu, a sweet pork sausage made with lots of local spices.
Okay, so it's kind of like a Spanish and Filipino infusion, maybe?
Yeah, well, I know chorizo is a kind of Spanish sausage, but I think in Philippines they have their own kind of own kind of chorizo. It says with local spices, so that would be something very interesting.
Yeah. So what are you waiting for? Pack your bags, head to Cebu, and start on a memorable journey filled with history, barbecue, beaches, and adventure. That sounds amazing.
That's right, and those are some things that definitely make a memorable trip. So memorable means easy or desirable to remember, something you want to remember or is very easy to remember. So for example, there were so many memorable moments from my trip. So things that you could not forget, usually because they were so good. They're memorable.
All right, so now we have a what do you think? If you had only one day in Cebu, how would you spend it, Matt?
Okay, so there's something that I didn't do in Cebu that I would still like to go back and do. So I would spend the whole day swimming with whale sharks.
Wow.
Because they're amazing and impressive and they're huge animals. And I know that in the southern part of the main island of Cebu, you can actually swim with whale sharks, and it looks like an awesome thing to try.
I've seen people try that. I've seen pictures. But is it dangerous at all? Like, do you know anything about that?
I think they're called gentle giants because they don't attack people. They just swim and they eat food that just flows into their mouths. But not people.
Okay, I'm glad. All right, so we learned so much about Cebu and what it has to offer, and I cannot wait to see you there. 刚刚介绍了圣佩德罗堡，它现在是一座博物馆，里面保存了许多文化工艺品。Matt 老师刚刚用到 artifact 这个字 ，A-R-T-I-F-A-C-T artifact 可以指手工艺品或是人工制品的意思。那课文接着介绍了麦哲伦十字架亭，它是用来纪念基督教于1521年传入宿雾。那这个地点在2021年被宣布为国家文化宝藏，是菲律宾最重要的宗教场所之一。好，那么单字 site它就表示地点、场所，它也有网站的意思。那么 declare 这个动词表示宣布、宣告、宣称。Religious 可以形容宗教的或是虔诚的。Nina 老师在解释单字时用到 worship 这个动词 W-O-R-S-H-I-P worship 表示敬奉或是崇拜。那除了欣赏历史建筑，要体验当地文化最好的方式就是去吃宿雾当地的著名美食。那像课文就有介绍一道必吃料理，就是宿雾香肠，它用大量当地的香料来制成甜猪肉香肠。好，看了这2天课程，同学们有没有想要马上打包行李去宿雾过冬呢？相信这一定会是一趟充满历史、充满阳光、好吃又好玩的难忘旅程。好，文中用到 memorable， 它就是形容难忘的、值得纪念的。Matt 老师在解释单字时，他用到 desirable 这个形容词 ，desire 去一再加 able，desirable 它是形容令人向往的、渴望获得的。好，那以上是今天的讲解，同学别走开，马上回来哦。
For history lovers, a trip to Cebu would not be complete without a visit to Fort San Pedro. The building itself dates back several centuries to when the Philippines was controlled by Spain. Originally, it was used to fight off attacks by pirates, but today it is a museum that preserves important Spanish records, sculptures, and paintings. Similarly interesting is the Magellan's Cross Pavilion, which commemorates the arrival of Christianity to Cebu in 1521. This site was declared a National Cultural Treasure in 2021 and is one of the most important religious locations in the Philippines. Historic buildings aside, there are few better ways to experience the local culture than diving into Cebu's famous cuisine. For the best barbecue you'll ever taste, head to Cebu City and the late-closing food court Sugbo Centro. Here, you'll find stands offering all sorts of delicious meats ready to cook and eat. A must-try is the chorizo de Cebu, a sweet pork sausage made with lots of local spices. So, what are you waiting for? Pack your bags, head to Cebu, and start on a memorable journey filled with history, barbecue, beaches, and adventure.
Hey, 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 it's Kiwi on the street. I'm Kiki.
And I'm Winnie.
We know there are a lot of English phrases that we can use in our daily lives.
Now let's go ask some friends.
今天的题目，第一个题目，汗如雨下，汗流浃背。
Sweat like a pig.
Sweat like a pig. Sweat like a sheep.
Sweat like a sheep.
Like a sheep. Sweat like a sheep.
So both of them say sweat like a sheep. Both of them are wrong. It's sweat like a pig. Okay.
A pig.
上厕所。
Answer nature's call.
I think it's answer nature's call.
Me too. Oh, answer the nature's call.
Answer nature's call. Nature's call.
Nature's call. Is it answer nature's call? Yes, because everybody has to answer nature's call at some point. You are correct. All right, 我们今天学到了什么呢? Let's learn more about today's phrases. Our first phrase is sweat like a pig. Believe it or not, pigs don't actually sweat that much because usually when they're hot, they go straight into some nice cooling mud. This pig refers to pig irons or crude iron, which is unprocessed iron during steel production. The shape looks like little piglets eating from a sow or a female pig that has given birth. These pig irons are incredibly hot and they can't be moved until they reach a point where water vapor appear on its surface, producing sweat. That's where the phrase sweat like a pig comes from. Our second phrase is answer nature's call. Answer nature's call is to go to the bathroom. Something that comes naturally to all living beings, and your body has the urge to do it. There's nothing else you can do unless you release it. It's like nature is calling you to go to the toilet. If you don't want to tell someone so directly that you need to use the toilet, you can say, "Excuse me, but I need to answer nature's call." And those are our 2 phrases for today. Kiwi later!